and welcome to Policy and Politics with me, Tarun Nangia. Today, we record this episode at a very crucial juncture in today's socio-political environment. It is the issue of giving corona vaccine or administering corona vaccine to 1 billion plus Indians. It's an oft-said joke. We said 1 billion Indians, but we are actually 1 billion Indians and one more America, because we are 1.3 billion people. So that's quite a lot of people. So the challenges in India are very different. Our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, visited Pune and visited a lot of these companies who manufacture these vaccines. And he has, in a sense, spoken to those people, and something positive, as we expect, is supposed to come out. But what are the general recommendations of the people who understand policy in Delhi, lawyers, senior people who observe civil society? So we are going to discuss this issue today regarding corona vaccine and some suggestions from our panelists. I have with me senior advocate Ryan Karanjawala. He's managing partner of Karanjawala and Company. We also have with us senior advocate KTS Tulsi. He's also a sitting member of the Rajya Sabha. We have with us Ashwini Upadhyay, who's made a name for himself, filing PILs on some very important issues concerning the common people and the people at large in the country. I welcome all three of you on the show today for sparing your time. And let us start our opening comment. Mr. Karanjawala, when I first discussed this idea with you, you also said it needs a very deep thought. What is the deep thought that you were talking about? What all do we need to think about when we want to administer a vaccine to so many people?
Well, there are many aspects. First of all, you have to ensure that the vaccine is safe. For that, there are already protocols in place, and no vaccine will be allowed to come into the market till the relevant authorities and the relevant scientists are sure that what they're bringing out is at least safe and to above 50% efficacious. So that's the first thing that has to be in place. The second thing that you have to ask yourself is, how will it reach the people? And will it reach the people on a compulsory or on a voluntary basis? These are the questions that are thrown up. Now, India is a country which conducts elections in which almost 1 billion people participate, 1 billion people participate. And I was just thinking to myself, maybe something on similar lines, people should be told that, all right, you are within this category, you go and take your vaccine at the same place where you went and gave your vote. So there is a pre-connection. People know where they have to go to. They go with their Aadhaar or other identification, show that they are within the prescribed category. Because originally it will be given to, first of all, of course, it will be distributed by the government of India to the frontline people. The nurses, the army, the police. Then I think even the judges will get it first. The cabinet, of course, will take it first, and so on. So these will be the front line. Then the normal people like you and me, will come in. So people of a particular age group with comorbidities will get preference. So I mean, I and Mr. Tulsi, because of our age group, will fit into that category first. So now, where do you get it? How, do you go house to house and give it? Or do you just designate, as you do on election day, that between this time and this time at this particular place, people from this area should come and take their vaccination with the relevant identification? Everyone can get a signal or a WhatsApp message saying you're now eligible, the vaccine is now available for you. So that's one way to do it. On the question that you asked as to whether it will be compulsory or voluntary, of course it has to be voluntary. It can't be, nobody's going to drag the police are not going to take a doctor to your house and deliberately give you a jab. Of course it has to be voluntary. But the question is, how do you make people come out and volunteer to take it when in matters of vaccine, there are some thoughts and there are some doubts and there are some misgivings. So what has been the protocol in the past in other countries? Recently, when Putin announced Sputnik 5, he said, my daughter has already taken the vaccine. That's a confidence building measure. When Bahrain started its inoculation with the Chinese, I think the Chinese vaccine, the king of Bahrain was the first to take the shot. I think over here, our Prime Minister has already taken the initiative by personally visiting and interacting with the vaccine manufacturers. So I have no doubt that what will probably happen is that before the shot is given, I think as a measure of confidence, to show confidence in the various vaccines, the cabinet will take it first. then the judges of the Supreme Court will perhaps take it, the army chiefs will take it, and so on. So that people who are opinion makers will be given, or people who are at the top of the hierarchy will be given it first, so that people feel, well, if he has taken it, if he shows confidence, then maybe we should show the same confidence. This is what I expect.
That's very interesting. Are you hinting the Prime Minister also should take the vaccine first as a confidence building measure?
That's been the tradition. The King of Bahrain did it. Most people do that. Most heads of state. You see, the Prime Minister has already, as a confidence building measure, yes, personally gone and inspected 3 different plants.
Yes.
He's gone to Hyderabad, he's gone to he's gone to Ahmedabad, and he's gone to my friend's plant in Pune.
Right.
The Serum Institute people. So he has already personally inspected all these plants. So obviously, it is his way of telling the country that I am behind the vaccines. I am conscious that the vaccine is going to be the silver bullet. And I'm doing my best to get it to you as safely and as efficaciously as I can.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. I'll go across to Mr. KTS Tulsi, sir. What are the things that come to your mind? You have a unique experience of being in Parliament where policies are discussed, designed and implemented. So from that perspective, what do you think, sir, should happen?
Firstly, there are 3 vaccines which are in the field at the moment. Oxford Serum, that is Serum Institute of India vaccine, which is likely to hit the market by the first quarter of 21. The second is Bharat Biotech, that will also hit but later in 21, and Gemalia, BioE and Zydus, that will also sometimes in 21 hit market. The question is, how is it going to be distributed? We have the example of polio vaccination. And in that also, the vaccine is delivered parallelly to the central government agencies, government hospitals, as well as private hospitals. And then it is implemented under the coordination of the center and the state hospitals. Question of compulsory vaccination, I agree with Mr. Karanjawala that unless it is necessary in public interest with regard to a group of people, the vaccine should be at the choice of the person concerned. And in any case, there must not be any forcible vaccination. So far as legislative measures are concerned, I think there is a major concern of privacy. Who all have taken, who all have not taken, that all should be a matter of personal concern and it cannot be advertised. But voluntarily, if somebody wants to give out the information, then there is no problem. But privacy has to be kept in view, particularly now after Puttaswamy's judgment of 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court. And therefore, I don't think the government will be able to act only under the Epidemic Diseases Act or under the Disaster Management Act, because if they make it compulsory, which is in my view not advisable, it will create, it will only aggravate. It's already known as the biggest health crisis of the century for the whole world. What is needed is free and accessible vaccination for marginalized population, and particularly because there is a huge disparity between the rich and the poor. It will have to, the policies will have to be modulated to ensure that it is accessible to everybody despite the disparity. I think that their national health mission, digital health mission, is already preparing data of unique digital health ID. Wherever it is available, it will be of huge help. And I want to say that the United States and the UK have made it clear that there will be no compulsory vaccination. Otherwise, it would look like police state, India, which India is not, and it should be compulsory only when it is in the larger interest of a set of people. But even then, the dignity of the individual must not be invaded.
That's very 2-3 important points that you made. I'll go to Ashwini ji. Ashwini ji, you have been taking up issues of social importance. You're in touch with the people. You're also a political activist in addition to being a lawyer. How do you see this issue in entirety? आपको कैसा लगता है एक social view इसका?
देखिए, करंजावाला जी ने जो कहा और तुलसी जी ने जो कहा, मैं उसको इंडोर्स करते हुए मैं अपने कुछ अलग से एडिशनल आपको बताना चाहता हूं। भारत की पॉपुलेशन 150 करोड़ है। 150 करोड़ में क्यों कह रहा हूं कि पिछले साल दिसंबर में 125 करोड़ आधार बन गया था और अभी भी 20% लोगों का आधार नहीं बना हुआ। अगर 5 आदमी का परिवार है तो 4 के पास आधार है, 1 के पास आधार नहीं है। ऐसा शहरों में भी है, ऐसा गांव में भी है। तो टोटल पॉपुलेशन 150 करोड़ हो गई। अब 150 करोड़ को वैक्सीनेशन देना तो मुझे लगता है इम्पॉसिबल है, तो हो ही नहीं सकता। विषय ये आता है कि कितनों को दिया जाए। तो सबसे पहली कैटेगरी तो ये हुई कि भाई ठीक है, पहले सीनियर सिटीजन दे दीजिए, आप 50 के ऊपर वालों को दे दीजिए। और जैसा राजन जी ने कहा और तुलसी जी ने कहा कि आप पहले सारे एडवोकेट्स को दे दीजिए, सारे डॉक्टर्स को दे दीजिए, सारे टीचर्स को दे दीजिए, सारे पुलिसमैन को दे दीजिए, आर्मी ऑफिसर्स को दे दीजिए, सीआरपीएफ, बीएसएफ जो फील्ड में ड्यूटी कर रहे हैं इनको दे दीजिए। लेकिन उसके बाद जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जो इसमें मुझे इशू दिखते हैं, एक बार क्या हुआ, एक बार केवल अफवाह फैलाई गई कि ये जो पोलियो की वैक्सीन है इससे जो है बच्चा नहीं पैदा होगा, ये नसबंदी वाली दवा है। हालत ये हो गई, मैं वेस्ट यूपी में रहता हूँ, गाजियाबाद में रहता हूँ और वेस्ट यूपी में मेरा लगभग सारे थानों में जाना हुआ है, सारे गांव मेरा जाना हुआ है। पूरे वेस्ट यूपी में लोगों ने पोलियो की दवा लगवाना छोड़ दिया, ऐसा टाइम आ गया, ऐसी अफवाह फैली। तो मुझे लगता है उससे भी बचने की बहुत जरूरत है, उससे भी सरकार को एक देखना पड़ेगा। मुझे लगता है सारे धर्मगुरु, हिंदू, मुस्लिम, पारसी, ईसाई सबको एक बार कॉन्फिडेंस में लेके उनको करना पड़ेगा। दूसरी बात यह कि क्रोसिन और डिस्प्रिन, जिसका साल्ट मुझे लगता है 10-15 पैसे का होता है, वो टैबलेट 2 रुपए की होती है, उसका भी नकली वर्जन हमारे मार्केट में है। आप चले जाइए एनसीआर के बाहर जाइए 50 किलोमीटर, आपको नकली डिस्प्रिन मिलेगी, नकली क्रोसिन मिलेगी जो 2-3 रुपए की बिकती है। तो ये दवा, इसमें मुझे लगता है कि जिस दिन आएगी उसके विद इन 1 वीक नकली वर्जन तैयार हो जाएगा। मास्टर है नकली हमारे यहाँ बनाने में।
तो काउंटरफिटिंग क्रैकडाउन होना चाहिए आप कह रहे हैं?
हाँ, बहुत जरूरी है उसके लिए।
तो कोई एक्सपर्ट्स होने चाहिए जो ये करेंगे?
नहीं, पहली बात तो मुझे लगता है कि इसके लिए सबसे पहले जो हमारा इसके लिए कानून है शायद उसको भी बदलने की जरूरत है। आपको जब तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी कई बार कह चुका है मिलावटखोरों के खिलाफ कठोर कानून बनाइए, ये तो लाइफ थ्रेटनिंग इश्यू है, इसको आप जो है लाइफ इंप्रिजनमेंट तक ले जाइए। तो उसके न तो आईपीसी में चेंज हुआ, न कोई स्पेशल लॉ बना। तो मुझे लगता है वैक्सीन आप ला रहे हैं तो उसके पहले हमें अपने ये जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, इनफैक्ट ये कानून को आईपीसी में अमेंडमेंट करना बहुत जरूरी है। एक क्लियर मैसेज होना चाहिए कि अगर आपने इस वैक्सीन का नकली बनाया तो आपको सीधे लाइफ इंप्रिजनमेंट हो जाएगा। और सुप्रीम कोर्ट कई बार कह चुका, अनफॉर्चुनेटली हुआ नहीं है। तीसरी बात, जो अभी तक सिग्नल आए हैं कि इसको आपको बहुत आई थिंक 4 या 5 डिग्री टेम्परेचर पर रखना पड़ेगा। अब इसको जब बांटा जाएगा तो इसका मतलब ये है कि आपको जहां भी रखना है वहां आपके पास एक अच्छी फ्रीजर यूनिट होनी चाहिए, नहीं तो वो इसका इफेक्ट ही खत्म हो जाएगा। जो मुझे रिसर्च के माध्यम से पता चला कि आप इसको अगर 5 डिग्री के ऊपर रखेंगे दवा को, ये काम नहीं करेगी, ऐसा कुछ कहना है। और इससे भी बड़ा कंसर्न ये है, जो अभी तक WHO भी कई बार कह चुका और कई सारे जगह पता चला, ये जो कोविड है तरुण, ये लगातार इसका कैरेक्टर चेंज हो रहा है, लगातार कैरेक्टर चेंज हो रहा है। तो जब तक हमारी वैक्सीन तैयार होगी, मान लीजिए अभी जो वो वायरस है उसका कैरेक्टर एक्स है, तो एक्स के हिसाब से वैक्सीन तैयार हो गई। 3 महीने के बाद इस वायरस का कैरेक्टर वाई हो गया, तो वो दवा कितना काम करेगी ये भी एक सोचने की बात है। तो क्या हम ये मान के चल रहे हैं या पिछले 6 महीने में हमें पता चल गया है कि ये वायरस का कैरेक्टर किस डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है? अगर उसके हिसाब से हमने प्री प्लान किया हुआ तो ठीक है, नहीं तो पूरी दवा बेकार हो जाएगी।
आप कह रहे हैं म्यूटेशन जो है, म्यूटेशन हम कहते हैं उसको।
हाँ, वायरस जो म्यूटेशन आप कहते हैं।
हाँ।
और आधार हमारे पास है, मुझे लगता है अगर हम आधार को यूज करें और पब्लिक हेल्थ सिस्टम हमारे पास, आई थिंक गांव में भी 5 से 6 किलोमीटर के एरिया में हमारे पास एक गवर्नमेंट का हॉस्पिटल है जिसको प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर कहते हैं वो है हमारे पास, लेकिन वहां का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मजबूत करने की जरूरत है। हमने जाके गांव में देखा है प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर की क्या पोजीशन है, वहां तो बिजली का कनेक्शन भी नहीं है, तो वहां फ्रिज चलेगा कैसे? तो कम से कम प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर का सबसे पहले इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मजबूत करने की जरूरत है। और मैं तो कहता हूं इसी बहाने मजबूत हो जाए तो अच्छा है। कम से कम अगर कोविड के वैक्सीन के डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के बहाने वहां प्रॉपर टेलीफोन पहुंच जाए, वहां प्रॉपर बिजली पहुंच जाए, वहां प्रॉपर जो है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर मजबूत हो जाए, वहां साफ सफाई हो जाए, तो इसी बहाने उसका भी कल्याण हो जाएगा। ये 4-5 इश्यू हैं जो हमें दिखते हैं कि एक तो क्राउड बहुत ज्यादा है, इसके बारे में मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन न फैल जाए। दूसरा, प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर का जो अभी वर्तमान कंडीशन है वो ठीक नहीं है, वो बिल्कुल हाइजीनिक नहीं है, न वहां बैठने की व्यवस्था होती है। अगर वहां 10 लोग आ जाएं तो मुझे लगता है 10 कुर्सियां भी नहीं होती हैं। तो जिस तरीके से वहां डॉक्टर्स काम करते हैं वो बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा इसको वहां पे ले जाके पहुंचाना, वहां पे उसको प्रिजर्व कर रखना।
Mr. Karanjawala, I would want to ask you these
Correct.
two things. There is a kind of apprehension among the older people, say 70 plus, who are very scared of taking any injection. Do you think that needs to be addressed? People need to be assured.
You're scared of taking an injection or not. A lot of people have some doubts as to how safe a vaccine is.
Yes.
This is a normal thing. You know, whenever a new medicine comes out, and this has come out very quickly, there is always that little bit of doubt. Therefore, the only confidence building measure is that people who people look up to
Yes.
should be the first ones to take it. That is why I gave the example of the chiefs. I gave the example of the cabinet. I gave the example of the Supreme Court judges. So when they all take it, then at least some amount of tasalli ho jati hai ki bhaiya inhone liya to hum bhi theek hai. That's the first point. Secondly, distribution is a very big challenge, as you rightly pointed out, as Ashwin also rightly pointed out, and it's far more of a challenge than even I thought till I heard Ashwini on what the problems in the rural areas are, because the problems in the rural areas are far more than they are in the urban areas. Now, I had made one suggestion to the civil aviation minister. I said, why don't you do one thing? At every airport, have, and it can be also done at every railway station, have a center from which people can go and take the vaccine. Now, initially, you know, all that it means is you have to invest in cold storage facilities, and you have to ensure that 24/7 it is manned by people who are able to give injections. So you have 5 or 7 or 8 people at a time. So somebody is catching a flight to Bombay. He goes, he checks in one and a half hours early, goes, gets his vaccination, and goes on. And everything is then computerized back into a computer bank, so people know by taking off the Aadhaar card how many people have been vaccinated. You will have to find ways and means of doing this kind of thing in order to ensure that it reaches the people it should reach.
Okay. Mr. Tulsi, on this note, I would like to ask you about the apprehensions. Some people say that they fell ill after taking the vaccine. Is this hysteria which normally happens whenever there is something like this? Is it very normal to expect all of this?
You see, the hysteria that is created by the infection, it's unprecedented. People are losing their wits, and this vaccination, this infection has created the problem of mental health problems amongst lots of people. The isolation, the period of isolation itself is a huge challenge. I think ultimately you have to leave it to the person concerned, whether they want vaccine or not. But its availability is already created a lot of satisfaction, a lot of confidence amongst the people. And look at Padma Srivastava, Dr. Padma Srivastava, neurosciences chief in the All India Institute. She has taken the first shot of the serum, which is Bharti. Now, these are the kind of persons, like Mr. Karanjawala said, who can create confidence, who can reduce the level of fear amongst people, but it should be left to the people concerned. There will be many people who may not want to be vaccinated and they're willing to die. So I have not at all, never liked the manner in which people were forcibly being pulled out of their houses. That's not the medical sciences way of working.
Mr. Tulsi, one quick follow-up question. In UK, the United Kingdom has secured early access to 355 million doses. Oxford, 100 million doses that are in phase 3 trial. Novavax, 60 million. BioNTech and Pfizer, 40 million, and Moderna, 5 billion. Now, should it be left to the people to decide which shot they want to take, or will government allocate? So we really don't understand how this happens. Could you share with us?
Well, I think that it should ultimately be left to the people. It's a matter between the doctor and the patient. And the media very fairly explains the pros and cons. Ultimate decision should be left to the person concerned. If you force anything, that would be inhuman.
Okay.
And I think we need a legislation. And it can't be done only under the Disaster Management Act or the Epidemic Disease Act, because this is a different kettle of fish.
We need a legislation is your point. I'm out of time. So 2 quick comments. Ashwini Upadhyay, Mr. Karanjawala, before we finish. Ashwini ji, very quickly, 1 comment and Mr. Karanjawala to close.
बिल्कुल, मैं तुलसी जी से बिल्कुल एग्री करता हूं और मैं उसका एक कारण भी बताता हूं कि आयुष्मान भारत इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है. मैंने गांव में जाके पता किया कि आयुष्मान का कार्ड फ्री बनता है, उसमें भी लोग 300 से 400 500 रुपए ले लेते हैं आयुष्मान का कार्ड बनाने के लिए. अगर हमारे पास एक अलग से कानून नहीं होगा, स्ट्रिक्ट लॉ नहीं होगा, इफेक्टिव लॉ नहीं होगा, तो फिर इस वैक्सीन का भी वही हाल होगा जो बाकी योजनाओं का होता है. जैसे हमारे यहाँ करप्शन एक बेसिक हमारे यहाँ टेनेट हो चुका है, ये भी करप्शन का भेंट चढ़ जाएगा.
Okay. Mr. Karanjawala, quickly a closing comment on summing up the issue.
First, I agree with all the panelists that it should be voluntary. 2, I feel that in the initial 6 months, all the vaccines may not even be in the market. So you'll have to take whatever you get if you want to get it within the first 6 months. The choice will come in a few months later when more than one vaccine comes into the market and the demand and supply sort of evens out. At that time, obviously you'll consult your doctor, you'll see what is more convenient for you, and you'll take access to it. There are some vaccines, for example, which can travel well. They can travel at room temperature. So in the interiors of India, in the remoter places, obviously that will be the vaccine of choice because it can travel at room temperature. Other vaccines need refrigerated. Other vaccines need to be super cold. So all that will ultimately decide as to how far and how well that particular vaccine will travel and who it will reach.
That puts an end to the problem that we were discussing of the choice. Initially, whatever you get, and after maybe 6-8 months, everything will be available. So then the supply side will ease out. I would like to thank Mr. KTS Tulsi, Mr. N. Karanjawala, Mr. Ashwini Upadhyay for sparing their time and joining us on this episode of Policy and Politics. We revisit this issue in about 3 months from now. But bye for now. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching this show. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.